I sent out a message, and I even had the utility bill put in my name because I had already spent $1.6 million with him, so I assumed we were good. We had a handshake deal. The only thing that could stop this deal was a Category 4 hurricane that no one saw coming. Hey everybody, it's Grant, and today we are going to be talking about the $0 mansion and revisiting that property after the aftermath of Hurricane Laura. This deal and this property has been absolutely mangled. So we did edit, we did put together, we did have all of this amazing deal ready for you. And now we need to go ahead and go back over what has happened after a natural disaster has come out of nowhere and no one expected this to happen. So before we get into this video, don't forget to power up that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell, because I am gonna keep bringing you deals. And I really hope that this video has a happy ending in the follow-up to it, because real estate is sometimes a long game. It doesn't always plan out the exact way you want, and that's what my videos are about. Teaching you about the harder side of real estate, the ugly side, and also the amazing side. So when me and Kayla came back in town, the first step to making sure everything was okay was go and check on our home. The second thing we did was check on my mother's home. The third thing we did, we checked on every single one of my rental properties that we could drive to. After all of that aftermath, we made sure we made it out to Hackberry, because it was the luxury purchase of all the things that we were actually buying from Dr. Rhodes. So it was the luxury purchase that we were actually buying from my friend. We drove out to Hackberry, and sadly, it was pretty wrecked. Just down the street, one of my friends told me that they were getting, they have a home right down the street on another road right over, and they were getting $600,000 worth of damage. Hackberry, Louisiana is very close to Cameron Parish, and Cameron Parish down here is very famous for Hurricane Rita leveling it out. Hurricane Rita and Hurricane Laura had the same effect. Laura was worse. Just look at all the devastation. I mean, that whole trailer's roof is gone. And the sad part is, when Rita hit Cameron Parish, which is where we're at, this is not the worst part though. There's a little bit deeper part of Cameron where it's right next to the water, and it floods so bad there. I don't know why people rebuild after such a devastating storm, and then there's only been 15 years between this storm and the last, Hurricane Rita to Hurricane Laura. I'm telling you, look at this house right here. Her whole freaking roof. So if you've never experienced anything like this, you're blessed. We cannot get away from hurricanes. There's not many homes left in Hackberry or Cameron Parish that have survived. And this house, no matter how well it was built, got hit by a Category 4 hurricane storm that just came with 155 mile an hour winds, 185 mile an hour gusts. And I don't know about you guys, but if you're gonna buy a brand new Tahoe, you don't want it that has been beat up and torn up by a major storm. So when we drove onto this property, we looked at some of our friends who we had become friends with out there and checked on them and told Mr. Fry, hey man, how you doing? He says, man, we're gonna rebuild it like last time. They're always very high spirited over there in that community. And so we rode around and saw Brown's Grocery, and we looked at all these places. And when we drove on to Hackberry, the first time, those gates were shut and locked. Now, the reason they were shut and locked wasn't because they want to keep people out. It was want to make sure those gates weren't flapping in the wind to rip off and break those beautiful entryway that when I drove into Hackberry the very first time, that's how I fell in love with that place. I said, what a glorious entryway. How awesome would this be to own? We went down the back road, the service road, and when we drove in, we saw the shop where the man cave is located, you know, that has all of that amazing room in the 3-bedroom apartment and the 3-bedroom and 3-bath apartment and all of his amazing furniture from the 1600s and up. And all the doors were blown off. Literally 6 big, giant bay doors had been blown off. In the distance, we could see the home, and we saw the blue tarps, so we didn't want to get to it yet. We wanted to assess the damage as it was, because I still do want this property. And what ended up happening was we went in, and even the main wall of this place was now bent in. The wind had blown so hard that it blew and bent the main wall of the metal structure. The man cave was actually very much intact, so as far as that building and losing all of his furniture, that amazing furniture from the 1600s, I'm sure it's going to survive. I mean, it's very durable, but still, you don't want that stuff out in the weather. But it did only really cost itself on that structure 6 bay doors. Driving to the main house, we saw one of the boats, the little fishing boats that are sitting out in the pond, was flipped over, and you could just see the buoys. We saw all the blue tarps. We saw all the damage. We saw all the things ripped off of that beautiful home that we could not wait to get in. When you actually got into the house, the man's living room is what he called it. He had a ladies' living room and he had a man's living room, right? He wanted his wife to have her own place, and he wanted him to have his own place, so that way they could entertain. The man's living room had 2 of the 3 big, beautiful bay windows in that blew right in, broke the entire sheetrock. There was holes in the roof. The entire man cave, the entire man living room was now drenched, and it was starting to reek of mold. We went into the master bedroom, and the master bedroom had their big window blown in. These windows in the house in general all have had broken seals, and if you know about broken seals on windows, they are no longer able to keep that heat and that AC inside your home. They lost their purpose, so you have to replace every single window. The roof, you will not be able to patch. There was a few pieces of plywood that you have to go put back. It blew off several areas of this beautiful house. But when it all comes down to it, the roof needs to be replaced, which is a $45,000 cost when you have those beautiful ridge caps and all that amazing shingle work. The windows all need to be replaced. The entire man cave needs to have all those windows and stuff replaced. The entire main living room with all that amazing furniture inside of it, where he had the antique barber chairs and he had all of those awesome busts and prints and things, and just all the things that he's collected over the years, has to be completely gutted. There was also a giant hole inside the bathroom, the master bathroom, that is so glorious you could sit 6 or 7 people inside of it. We had Kayla's 30th birthday at this house. We were planning on spending a ton of memories in this house. And sadly, because of the way that we were supposed to close this deal on the 31st and the storm hit on the 27th, we had some trouble after the storm on the negotiation table. So let's talk about how this deal really went sideways. There was a survey issue on this property when he bought it. He bought it from a very, very successful and very wealthy entrepreneur here in Lake Charles. This person has built 2 of the finest homes that are in our area. One of my friends just bought his last one that he sold, and it was probably about a $6 million cost of a home, and he bought it, my friend, for $3.5 million. This house that I have told you about in the last video probably would cost today's market about $5 million to build because of the dirt work, the ponds, and the amazing structure that sits on it. Because of this title issue, he had a terrible time. My friend, Dr. Rhodes, had a terrible time getting this place back in what he thought he bought. Like, you don't want to buy something and have a title issue. He ended up spending $30,000 to have the entire rezoning of Hackberry to show that he actually owned his main gate. Of course, it's not just a piece of the levee that was actually messing up. It was the main entryway to your home. What ended up happening is he called me for a meeting a week before the storm ever turned into anything more than a tropical depression, before the storm ever got into the Gulf. And what ended up happening with this, I asked him, I said, Doc, please let me just sign. I trust you. You spent 30 grand on it. That's good enough for me. And once again, that is not smart business, but I trust him. I have been friends with him my entire adult life and childhood life, my entire life. I said, if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. And he says, but I just don't want you, I'm going to try to protect you. And he was trying to protect me. We ended up deciding to do an Atlas survey. I don't know if I'm saying the term right, because it was the first time I've ever been introduced to it, but it's just the pinnacle of survey work, and it cost right around $1,800. Not only did I pressure wash that beautiful house for $2,000 for Kayla's birthday, let's talk about some goofy things that you shouldn't do before you take ownership of a property. I also gave the money for the Atlas survey. So I am $4,000 of a loss from this process. What ended up happening is shortly thereafter, the storm formed. I sent out a message, and I even had the utility bill put in my name because I had already spent $1.6 million with him. So I assumed we were good. We had a handshake deal. The only thing that could stop this deal was a Category 4 hurricane that no one saw coming. Shortly after the hurricane ravaged the property, me and him had a conversation. He says, come up with a number, Grant, and get back with me, because he does self-insure. The reason that insurance matters is not because you have a few shingles missing. It matters because if you have a total loss or something there close to it, like the friend down the street with less damage that got an insurance check for $600,000. Now, I haven't seen the check, but that's his word. He's an very good friend and a very good businessman. Doc told me that my offer of $1 million was too low. Here's the thing. You never know what kind of problems I'm going to have later. You never want to have to spend your own money because there's no insurance check coming from this property. And he said he would give me $100,000 off of the $1.5 million purchase price if I would still take it. That slap in the face offer made me have to pull away from Hackberry. Now, here's the pick-me-up of this story. Real estate is not a race. Real estate is a marathon. I am now watching that house every single day while it sits on the market, how it gets repaired, and he still has me a key. We are still very good friends. And you will see $1,645,000 worth of projects that we did buy from him that very month. I couldn't wait for Kayla Vazina to have a $3.1 million month as a real estate agent in her second year. I don't care if I'm her customer, and I've been friends with her for 6 years. In the event that we weren't together at this point, I would still be buying real estate from her. All that boils down to a kind of a sad story, but I hope that we have a happy ending for you. And I hope I get to buy this house for a fair price after it's been fixed and everything goes back the way we thought it would. So that's it for the video, guys. If you enjoy videos like this, please, especially since I lost out on my dream home, power up that like button, as well as hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that notification bell. It'll alert you every single time that we post. Comment anything you liked out of this video, anything you want to see in future videos, and if you were sad that I missed out on Hackberry. I hope you have a fantastic afternoon, and I will see you on the next one.